Biggest voice on the channel. India is still in a bull market. That's the word from none other than CLSA's Chris Wood. He's betting on real private banks and long-term holdings in real estate companies in the country and believes that there are further legs to the rally in the Indian markets. Let's listen in.
The more dysfunctional the public sector banks are, the better the growth opportunity for the private sector banks, because the public sector banks still have 70%, I believe, of the deposits. So that's 70% of the deposits the private sector banks can grow into. So what's a negative at the macro level is a positive for the private sector banks. My equity allocations are in real private sector banks. So the Financial Times wrote an article the other day referring to those two institutions as private sector banks, but that showed the reporter didn't have a long historical memory.
On a 1 year basis, on a 2 year basis, 1 to 2 year basis, you are right now bullish on emerging markets. But if you have to take a 5-year view, would you be still bullish on emerging markets?
I'm still bullish on emerging markets. The biggest risk for emerging market investors right now is that the S&P has peaked out, and that monetary tightening causes a derating of equity valuations. But that's a bigger risk if you're involved in the US stock market, because the valuations are much higher.
Do you think 2017 in a sense has spoiled everyone in this room because we got great returns, and 2017 was an extraordinary year for local investors and global investors?
We trade sideways all year in India. It's not a disaster. I think a key variable, though, is inflows into the mutual funds.
Managers and advisors and distributors, when they get calls from their clients after the market fall, is the bull market over? Is it time to reduce exposure to equities? How should they convince their clients that this is just a bull market correction in India and the bull market is far from over?
No, well, I think the bull market. I think India is still in a bull market. What's remarkable, frankly, is that the Indian stock market has done as well as it's done, given that chart I showed of how much corporate profits are down. So you could look at that as negative and positive, because I look at it as positive. What it shows is how much better the stock market would do if the investment cycle came back.
Okay.
But the issue right now is the investment cycle coming back, and that partly has to relate to the issue of all these issues in the Indian banking system addressed. If the issues in the Indian banking system are not addressed, then that's definitely going to be a negative.
Chris Wood.